Welcome back. I'm going to be doing another watercolor pencil tutorial. This is great for a beginner learning how to use watercolor pencils. I've chosen to use Kiwi as my inspiration. I love the color. The green is really vibrant, and I feel like it's a simple shape to sketch out, especially for a beginner. And so I'm going to go ahead and quickly sketch out a half of a kiwi and then 2/4 pieces that were cut up. Okay, I have my Prismacolor watercolor pencils. I'm using a lime green. It's a yellow green, and it's very similar to the color of a kiwi. I am shading and laying in that color heavier on the edges and in the center of the kiwi, and leaving some white paper exposed around the center area. I'm also going to use a dark green in some of the same places right on top of my lime green, and emphasizing the edges of the kiwi. I'm going to still leave some white paper exposed because that's going to be our lighter values where the white paper is exposed. And I'm going to just keep laying this color down. With watercolor pencils, it's not usually a one and done. You're going to add, a couple of layers or multiple layers, and go in and add detail at the end. I'm going ahead and add in the same colors to my quarter slices of kiwi, and emphasizing the edges to be a little bit darker, leaving some white paper exposed just like I did on the half slice of kiwi. I'm also taking a lemon yellow color and adding that a little bit in just between the dark greens in the center area. And now I'm going to use a light brown, a light tannish brown. It's very warm, and start shading in the brown part of the kiwi. I'm doing it very softly, not a lot of harsh marks, because the outside of a kiwi doesn't have a lot of harsh areas or hard textures. It's kind of soft. And then I'm going to take a darker brown, and I'm going over the edges, doing darker at the bottom where a natural shadow would probably fall. Okay, now I'm using my small paintbrush with some water, and I'm starting in the center, and I'm pushing the paint out to the edges. And I want to do that because if I were just to go back and forth evenly, I would flatten all the color out and would be a solid flat color of green, and I wanted it to be darker on the edges, so I have to make sure that I don't pull the dark color into the center. And I'm going to do that on the quarter pieces as well. And when I'm done with all the green, I'm going to make sure that my paintbrush is really clean, and then I'm going to go in on the brown areas and make it very smooth and soft looking, just like a kiwi looks. After a quick look at my kiwi again, I'm going back in. I'm adding a little bit of detail on the brown area and on the skin, and just defining a few edges and a few details. But I'm about to show you a really cool trick. If you take your watercolor pencil and you dip it in your water for just a little bit, you don't want to soak it too much, you're going to be able to create very vibrant and rich colors. I'm going to use the black because I'm about to draw the kiwi seeds. And before I do that, I'm going to blot the extra water on a paper towel, and then I'm going to start adding my kiwi seeds. And after the vibrance kind of dulls down a little bit, I'm going to dip my pencil back in my water just for a few seconds, and I'm going to keep on adding those kiwi seeds. After adding those details, my kiwi slices are really starting to look a little bit more realistic. I still have a few more details to add, but the vibrancy and the realism is really starting to come through. Okay, now for the background. I chose this really pretty magenta purple color, and I chose it because it looks really nice against the kiwi green. And I feel if I chose a neutral or a brown to put next to the kiwi, it would blend in too much with the brown of the skin. And so I have this vibrant color, and I'm going to add some shadows around the kiwi slices. And then I'm going to layer in a little bit of blue on top of that as well, because I feel like the blue and the purple will blend nicely when I start blending it with my paintbrush. Okay, now it's time to blend these colors together, and I'm going to use the technique in which I start away from the color and then I push the color towards the object to create the shadows. If I were to pull down, I would make a very flat surface and the shadows wouldn't be as evident. So I'm going to continue pushing that color towards my objects and blending that purple and that blue together. Okay, you may have noticed that I took some of the purple that was on my paintbrush and I'm adding it a little bit to the brown part of the kiwi. I've talked about this before in my simple apple tutorial that I did, and I talk about how I like to take the colors in my painting and have them bounce around to different areas. And I'm really liking this purple and blue background. If I had chosen gray or brown, it would look completely different. And the purple against the green, it really makes it stand out. I hope that you learned something today. I hope that you want to grab your watercolor pencils and try this tutorial. I appreciate you watching, and thank you very much.